What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. And in today's video, I have Rico with me, and we're going to be going over his story of how he got his very first wholesale deal. Rico, how much was your first wholesale deal for?
Yep, my first wholesale deal was $12,500.
$12,500 profit on his very first wholesale deal. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly how he got that first deal, what he did step by step to get it, so that way you can replicate the same success that he had. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you go down below, hit the red button, and subscribe to the channel. But other than that, let's get right into it. So Rico and me were actually recently on a mentorship call. So he purchased a mentorship call with me because he's done about $100,000 in assignment fees, and he wants to start turning this from a side hustle into a real business. And so we were on a mentorship call one-on-one with me, and I was giving him some strategy on how he can scale his business and do deals consistently. And he was telling me his story about how he got his first deal. And it was really amazing because he told me that I got him inspired into wholesaling, and he learned a ton of the stuff that he needed in order to get that first deal from me and my YouTube channel. So Rico, first off, how did my videos on my channel and the information that I'm putting out online help you get into wholesaling and have success?
Yeah, so when I first heard about what wholesaling was, like anybody else, you start digging into it a little more and more, watching YouTube videos. But you were one of the guys that stood out to me because you're very informative on how you explaining it, and it's step by step, right? And these are actual action items. It's like, okay, you have to figure out marketing, then you got to figure out cold calling, and this is how you do it. You do this, you call them, like everything was like step by step, and it was like dumbed down. So these are actual action items, similar to our coaching session we did a few days ago. They're actual action items that you can go implement as soon as you get off the phone, or in your case, if somebody's watching a YouTube video, it's something you can implement immediately once you get off that YouTube, stop watching a YouTube channel. So, one of the main things was that you like cold calling. Personally, I have a big background in cold calling. So I've cold called for many years just for other companies in different industries. So when you were saying that cold calling worked for you, I was like, okay, well, if cold calling is working for this guy, I know something about cold calling. I've been professionally cold calling for other industries for many years. So that's what led me to say, you know what, I'm going to try cold calling, because there's so many marketing channels out there as far as direct mail, cold calling, SMS, and, pay per click. There's all these different things. And one of the things that you say as well is that you were saying, look, pick one, say it's cold calling, and stick with that one, right? Yep. And that's exactly what I did. And in all honesty, I'm still on cold calling. I don't do any direct mail. I don't do any fancy Facebook ads. I'm just cold calling, and I'm getting better at it every day, every week, every month, every quarter, because I'm just focusing and specializing on cold calling. So cold calling is how I got the first deal.
Yep. So you got to focus in on on one marketing channel. So you told me actually you got your first deal from driving for dollars, which is interesting because that's not something that I say is the best, because it can take longer. But then you started to gain a lot more success after that first deal when you focused in more on cold calling. So I appreciate it, man. And I'm so happy that my channel and my videos gave you the information you needed to chase after your first deal and to get into wholesaling real estate, because that's the point of it, right? I want to change people's lives and impact their lives with my YouTube channel. And you're proof of the concept that works, which is amazing. But let's get right into it. So first, I want you to tell me, first off, how long did it take you to get your first deal? And then I want to go to the very beginning of your journey when you very first decided, okay, I'm going to try to get this deal. And I want you to tell me step by step how you got this first deal.
Okay, so, it took me a little bit longer than I wanted to get the first deal. I think there's not much barrier to entry into wholesaling. It's mainly just like knowledge, right? So I just didn't know what I was doing, right? So from the moment I said, look, I'm going to take this wholesaling thing serious, I'm going to go all in and learn. And from that moment until I actually had the check in my hand, it was about 16 months. So, yeah, so
wow, man, 16 months. So it took me about 8 months to get my first deal. And that was a very long time. So it took you double the amount of time. So before we move on any further, what what was it that made you keep trying? Because it's very easy to become discouraged along the process. And for it to take you that long, there had to be moments along that journey where you felt like giving up. What was it that made you persevere? Did you just know that, hey, if I eventually get this deal, it will change my life. So I just need to keep going? What was it for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm human, right? So at some points I was discouraged. I was like, is this really for me? Is it gonna happen? But I just continued to, give myself talks and, push myself because I just knew, I just believed in myself. And remember, I talked about when I said I'm gonna go into this 100%, right? I'm not stopping until I get that first deal. I just made that commitment to myself. So no matter if it took 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a lot of times people say, because some people ask me questions about how to get their first deal. And one of their questions is, how long does it take to get the first deal? I think that's the wrong question. It's whatever it takes,
Yeah. It's
right? It's
about, the
whatever it
question
takes.
should be, how do I commit fully to this? Because motivation is temporary. You need discipline, you need commitment. And so
Exactly.
what the commitment is, it's a promise to yourself that you're going to make it happen no matter what. And if you can't even keep a promise to yourself, how are you going to keep a promise to anybody else in life? So you need to make that promise to yourself that you're going to be committed, that you're going to do whatever it takes to chase after getting this first deal at
Exactly.
all costs. And so
And
that's what you did.
that's the main thing, Jacob. The main thing that kept me going. Look, 16 months is a long time. And, look, a lot of times people, whether they're getting a job or what have you, they don't like their pay. They don't want to work for free, right? I worked for free for wholesaling. I was working for free. Actually, I was paying money, right? Because I'm skip tracing leads, but I was working for free for 16 months. But the main thing is that I made a commitment and said, I'm not stopping until I have that check in my hand.
And then you literally just mentioned the sacrifice. You have to commit, and then you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. Otherwise, you'll never be rewarded with what you deserve. You gotta put the hard work in. You gotta sacrifice. You gotta work for free. You gotta be
You got
consistent.
you
All
got
of
to
the
educate
things.
yourself. And along the
Yeah.
way, there was like, it wasn't until like, I don't know the exact timing. Let's just call it 8 months. It wasn't until like 8 months in, maybe 6 to 8 months in, where I learned what a dialer was.
Yeah. So there we
So
go.
I was
It
like
was
hand dialing.
yeah. So you were doing a lot of the wrong things, and then you started to educate more and saw what you needed to do. So let's get into it. Okay. So you decide, okay, I'm going to try to wholesale. So what's the first thing that you go out there and try to do?
The first thing I did.
Yes. What's the first thing that you tried to do to get a wholesale deal when you made that decision? I'm going to try to become a wholesaler. What is the first thing you did?
So when I started getting serious about it, the first thing I did was driving for dollars. I just got in my car and went over there. Went to a neighborhoods and just drove and just looked for properties that had a hole in the roof, overgrown trees and bushes in the front, any signs of like physical distress, and I would just put that address down and build my list that way. And I would just go out there for 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 hours and build my list up. Then I would put it into a Google Sheets. This is before all the CRM stuff, right? I
Yeah.
would put it into Google Sheets and put it there. And then I would go on a website called Fast People Search, and I
Mhm.
would look for the numbers. So it's like a free skip tracing way. That was before I knew how to skip trace on a
Yep.
mass scale. And then I would just call. I would just take my phone and literally I had an app where it would give me a different number, and I would just go like this and I would say, hey,
Yep.
I'm an investor in the area. Are you interested in selling your house? And that's what I did. That was my first major action.
Amazing. So a lot of people don't know. I actually, when I first got started, the first thing I did was I drove around to all the pre-foreclosures, passing out flyers.
Okay.
And while driving around, if I saw a beat up property, I would take down a list just like that too. So I had a very similar start as well, which is amazing. So now you're building this list of beat up properties. You're going on a reverse address lookup online. Guys, if you want to do that to find phone numbers for free, skip trace for free, just Google reverse address lookup. There's Fast People Search, True People Search, a bunch of different websites for that. And so now you have managed to create this list, and now you're searching them up, trying to get the numbers one by one and hand dialing them one by one. So now you're calling. Are you gaining traction? What's it like calling people for the first time?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, again, I had cold calling experience, so I didn't mind, cold calling, but this is a new industry I hadn't cold called before. So yeah, calling in for the first time, you get a lot of beep, beep, maybe it's the wrong number. You get a lot of people who say not interested, they hang up. You know, obviously you get a lot of rejection. That's the nature of cold calling, right? But then there was some people who said, yeah, actually, we've been thinking about it. And at this point, I didn't really have the only sales process I knew was for my past jobs. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay, you know, what's that about? What's going on? You
All
know,
right.
so conversations.
So now that you're calling, you're learning the industry, learning how to talk to the homeowners, what's the next thing that you do? Are you trying to do just this driving for dollars and skip tracing strategy for months and months, or how long are you doing that for before you implemented anything else or tried anything else? Like, what's the next part of your journey?
Yeah, so I did that for a while until I got the first deal, and then I
So
realized.
basically you did just driving for dollars as your main thing for the full 16 months up until you got that first deal.
I would say for the first man, not quite the full 16.
So the first
We'll
like
call it 12 to 14.
okay, so you got that deal like in the 12-month range from driving for dollars, okay? And then it took a little while to close, and then boom, it closed, you got paid. Amazing. So tell me a little bit more before we move on to your success that you've had now since getting that first deal. I want to talk about that. What have you done since? But let's talk a little bit more about what challenges you had along that journey. Like, I mean, you're going out driving for dollars how often? How many days a week for how many hours? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah, so I had a full-time job, so I was balancing both. So I was going every Sunday I would go for like 4 to 6 hours, and I would build my list up, and then I would call them after work and stuff like that. So I was doing both. And I did that for a while, but I realized that it's kind of hard to, you know, scale up the list. You know, I would go out there and get like 150 to 250 properties. But at that point I knew what a dialer was, and you can burn through that pretty quickly. You know, like you're talking only a couple hundred in the list. So yeah, I did that for a while, and then I got my first 2 deals that way. But you know, before the 16 months, a little before that, I needed a different way to get a huge list without spending a crazy amount of money. You know, because it costs money to skip trace. I needed to find a way where I can get bigger lists and, you know, at a more cost efficient, so I can put it in the dialer and cold call those.
Okay, so amazing. So you actually started, instead of individually skip tracing for free through reverse lookup, you started bulk skip tracing your list that you built up by driving for dollars on the weekends as well, is what it
Yep.
sounds like.
So by then I figured out what bulk skip tracing was.
Yep,
So
and so you put that in the dialer, and now
yep.
you were calling through the stuff you found driving for dollars much faster, but you realized it wasn't enough opportunities to actually create consistent deal flow and have more success. So you decided now, after you got your first deal, that you needed a bigger list. So then this is the amazing thing that he told me. When we were on this coaching call a week ago, he was telling me how he literally uses everything I use in my business, and he took everything that I say on my YouTube channel to heart and implemented it in his business, and he's having massive success from it. So he started using Cole Realty Resource. There's a link down below for this data source. This data source gives you the records with phone numbers, so that way you save a ton of money because you're not also having to pay to skip trace. And so now, once you started having that big list in the dialer after you got this first deal for 12,500, how did that start to, you know, snowball your success? How did you start to gain more momentum?
Oh yeah, a lot different. And when I heard about that on your channel, you know, and then you were kind of going through a tutorial. This is how you do it. This is how you pull a list. I mean, you really break it down. If you just spend the time, right? Just don't watch Netflix. Don't do anything besides, you know, this should be your new Netflix. If you're looking to get your first deal, your new like Netflix thing should be watching guys like Jacob like every day, all day, right?
Yep.
So you broke it down. This is how you pull the list. This is what cold data is. It's a one-time fee, whatever it was at the time. And yeah, I just took it and ran with it, you know? Yep. So it was a huge difference. So now I could pull, you know, a list and pull 15, 20, 25,000 in one. It was like crazy to me, right? Because I was pulling, you know, 250 properties per week. So I was pulling, like, for driving for dollars, I was pulling around 1,000 a month, right? Yep. So to be able to sit there and spend some time and pull a list of 15, 20,000 was crazy. So I pulled that list, and at this time I had a cold caller So I pulled the list, threw it in the dialer, and the leads just started coming in like crazy.
Amazing. So
right?
with that 12,500 you made, you invested in more data with Cole, you invested
Yep.
in more dialer seats and in a cold caller, right? That's what
Yep.
you did. So sweet. So that's what you're going to want to do when you close this first deal. You're going to want to reinvest the money and not blow it. And that's what he did. He instantly got more data, got more dialer seats, and hired a cold caller. So now he had somebody doing the marketing with him. He wasn't the only one cold calling, and this started to gain him more traction. So now, since reinvesting the money from your first deal and doing all that stuff, you've closed about $100,000 in assignment fees since. And what does your business look like now? How many callers do you have? And what's going on with you and your business?
Yep. So now what my business looks like. So as you were alluding to, you make the deal and you have to reinvest it back in, right? So that's what I've been doing. This deal, invest it back in. The second deal, invest it back in, right? So now I'm looking at, I have 4 cold callers, soon to be 5 cold callers. I have an acquisitions manager. I'm an acquisition manager, obviously. So I have somewhere between, around 5 people right now, full time. So I have the cold calling thing ramped up. I got enough lists where they can call them and the leads are just coming in, and right now, I don't know if you hear that, but that's my Podio going. It's my acquisition manager making notes in Podio. So she's working right now. So that's what my business looks like today. But like I said, you have to make the deal, invest it back in, make the next one, invest it back in so you can scale up. And now we just have leads coming in, every day that we can call. More opportunities means more conversations and, more contracts and more deals.
Amazing, man. Well, dude, I'm just so happy for you because literally you're a success story from what I teach and what I preach. And like, it's just amazing seeing it like work out. So I love to see it. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to see where you go now. I know we just had a mentorship call together and I pointed you in the right direction on how to scale. I wish I knew you before the mentorship call because what you're doing is amazing, man. But I'm so glad we met on that call. And I'm so excited to see with the information I gave you and the direction I gave you on that call, where you're going to go. Because I know you're so close to starting to do 6 figures every month. It's just about tweaking a few things in your business, hiring some more people, and you are literally going to blast off to so much more success. So I'm excited to see it. But other than that, thank you so much for coming on the channel and telling your story. Do you have any like closing words or advice for people out there trying to get their first deal that you would want to share with them?
Yeah, definitely. So my advice would be, if you're serious about trying to get your first deal, I would just hone in on it, become obsessed with wholesaling real estate, watch guys like Jacob all day, every day on YouTube, educate yourself, then go take action, educate, take action, and just keep doing that until you get the first deal. And don't stop, because once you get that first one, you'll be hungry for that next one.
Yes, sir. And then if people want to connect with you, like what's your Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Rico Ramos, RICCO RAMOS_. So Rico Ramos _. I just started it, so.
Awesome, man. Well, sweet. Thank you so much again for coming on the channel. I hope this was helpful for you guys to see actually a story of somebody getting their first deal that learned from my channel and was able to have massive success. Just know that you can do it too. So literally don't hold back, go all in, learn as much as you can and take as much action as possible. And you are going to have the same success as Rico. But other than that, if you liked the video, make sure to go down below, hit the red button and subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.